All right, and now it is time for another episode of Who Joined the Cult, my interview series where I talk to real Unicult members about why they joined Unicult, how they found this amazing um, organization, what it means to them, their histories, and I'm so excited today. So, just going to see here who my interview subject is going to be here. Let's see. No, interview them. We've had so many guests. Sometimes I worry I'm just going to run out. And hmm. Well, apparently I am the interview subject of this month. So um, I don't want to interview myself. That would be awkward. I wonder. Oh, I know. Um, Spirit of Uni. We call upon you to bring us someone who is connected to the spirit of uni and understands Unicult and is willing and able to host today's interview with me, please bring such a person to this show. Let's see if my prayers are answered.
Oh my goodness, hi.
Space Freckle, my prayers have been answered.
Hi. I think I'm supposed to be interviewing you today.
Yeah, that's what I was praying for. I needed someone to interview me because I kind of booked myself for the interview today, so didn't think that through. But if you're up for it, I would love to take some questions.
Yeah, I got plenty of questions. I keep them on hand because I wait for the day that I'm able to interview you.
Whew. Oh, okay. I wonder if that's a thing everyone's doing. Huh. Well, no, that's fine. I have loved doing this interview series over the last, it's been over a year now, and certainly spoken to a lot of members, but I haven't ever talked about myself. So, yeah, let's do an interview.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So the first question that I had is that you're one of the members who's been in Unicult the longest. So we want to know what was the tipping point that made you join Unicult? Not like what made you join, period, but if you could pinpoint the moment that made you go, yep, I want to join a cult now, what was that like for you?
So, I originally, and to clarify, there are a lot of members who have been around longer than me. There's like Spencer and Muscle Dragon and people who were around way before we had the Discord. And I like classify myself as like Discord era Unicult, but thank you. So I discovered Unicult. It was almost like exactly 4 years ago when Vice put out that documentary. And I was just really fascinated. Um, just the aesthetic, the look of all the material, and just the idea of like living your true self and what the connectiveness of the spirit of uni was already something that I kind of believed in spiritually, but hadn't exactly put into words. But I didn't join right away. Uh-oh, collars. Well, collar, there he is. There he is. 1 second, a big boy.
It's a uni pet.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. Hey. So I didn't actually join right away. I bought, and actually, as of April 24th, last month, it was 4 years that I bought fundamentals. So I bought fundamentals first because I really just wanted to kind of dig into the philosophy and the teachings and just kind of see where I lined up. And I didn't do my application until around August or September. So I gave it like 4 or 5 months to kind of just marinate a little bit. And I don't remember what the exact tipping point is that made me want to join because I know I was watching Cam Church Weekly, and I think more than anything was the consistency of what appeared to be this flourishing, kind, accepting online community. It was someplace that I felt instantly safe. As a trans person, I felt very heartened by a cult leader that was identified non-binary, and that made me feel like, oh, I'm not going to have to explain things. And I think it was just that consistency of people showing up and putting themselves out there that made me go, wow, people, this is a thing people care about. These are beliefs that kind of line up with where I'm at. Yeah, I'll join. And so I did, and I'm still here.
I think it's really cool that you took time, and then you also went ahead and purchased fundamentals before going ahead and like actually joining. Um, Especially with the welcome kit, where a lot of people, their first contact with fundamentals is like after they requested an application.
Hmm.
That's cool. But also similarly, what was the moment like when you first joined Unicult? Like when you confirmed your request for a Unicult application, what did that moment feel like for you?
I think the paper application, if we're talking like the paper application specifically, okay,
Yeah.
I think there is a element of fun to it. Um, I had when I was in high school, I had some pen pals that I had similar interests with, so we'd write back and forth to each other and do little doodles and write little stories. And so I do have an affinity for getting things in the mail and having a communication, a connection with someone that way, especially as it gets more antiquated. And so it felt like this mysterious, fun thing that like a good number of people are in. And sorry, Collar is he's very fascinated by the robe. He's actually bitten a fair amount off the bottom of it. I think he just loves it. So he's bothering me.
He feels
Yeah,
at home.
yeah, but so Unicult had publicity, but it still kind of felt like this underground, like secretive thing. But then it's on Etsy, so it's like in plain sight, and it's a cult. And just like on a base level, I'm like, I just want to get a cult application and see what that looks like. It helps that like my beliefs like work very well with this. And fundamentals was just incredible to read through for the first time. But there's also just this fun. And then when you get it and it has the wax seal and it's in an envelope, and I just think the whole process is not only developing this connection, um, if you're getting the application with this intention of this spirituality is something I really want to dive into, or this community is something I dive into, then that application comes with that energy. If you're getting the application because you're like, what? It's a cult, I'm gonna get it, then you'll still have this fun energy about getting the application because what other cults are gonna send you an application in the mail? So for me, it was just fun. It was a little mysterious. It was just an excitement of communication with this entity that like I was just kind of connecting with, uni and all that. So a long answer, I know.
No, but it's also just really cool, like bringing that up, the element of fun that comes with the application, especially because, at least as we stand now, when you order an application for Unicult, you're getting it sent directly from Unicult. And you kind of like, you really get to see Zer's artistic expression through it, like you said, with the wax seal and just everything that goes into it.
It's funny. Oh, um, not to distract the interview, but I found the tarot card I got with my application. I found it
Oh, that's
two
cool.
days ago. Do you want to see which one it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty novice tarot person, but I can assume that, when Unical puts these cards in the applications, it's with intention and connection. So I got the Ace of Rods.
That's really cool. And that's actually like a relic because I don't think Z sends tarot cards out with the applications anymore.
I don't know. I know I got mine. I don't know how I found it or where I found it, but I still have to go look up and remind myself what that card means. But
Yeah,
so I thought that was pretty fun.
no, that is really cool. And yeah, I don't think yeah, because I don't think I got one with my application. So that's actually really cool and rare. And the Ace of Wands, it says, or the Ace of Rods, which would be the Ace of Wands, it signifies success in all aspects, success backed by luck. And it's a combination of success backed by hard work and luck, and it's what forms the basis of this card. And the keywords are passion, new ventures, success, and good luck.
Well, without talking myself up at all, I think success by hard work is very much related to the my time in Unicult. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I think that's just a really cool card to just represent the new journey of like being in Unicult. Um, the question that I also had, and this is kind of like a combination, or a two-parter, but how do you feel Unicult has changed? Like you said, you've been in Unicult for over 4 years now. So how do you feel Unicult has changed since you first joined? And how have you changed since once you first joined?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Unicult has changed very much. I know when I got in, I didn't really have any idea about the structure. Like I knew some of the levels and whatnot. But that then we didn't have magicianship. I knew we had devoted membership. But I think what I've really seen from Unicult in the last, it's almost 4 years, is we've refined the way that we handle conflict. We really put a lot of loving intention and empathy and understanding into that. And we have done our best to create a system where, yes, there are levels, but each level is helping the other. And so it is always not in the spirit of having one person over another, but having one person sharing their experience with another and another person sharing their ideas and this back and forth. And I think we've really crystallized that in the last few years since I think the Discord was completely essential in that because we have this gathering place now. And developing magicianship has been incredibly important to that because we have a very solid, very like mentorship role of the like experienced members. And it's fun to be a resource. And so it feels like if you're just coming into Unicult now, all the resources are laid out in front of you. Even if you just want to hang out and goof off and, say good morning to everyone, there's ways to do that. And there's like no confusion about it. Or if you want to dive into like devoted membership or become a magician, there are ways to do that. And it's not structure in a way that takes the fun out of things. It's just structure in a way that makes it able for us to keep it going when one of us may not be there or when two of us may not be available. We have that form in place so Unicult can keep going on. And it allows us a framework to work in that allows for greater collaboration instead of competition. Um, for myself, um, a lot. Um, where do I start? There's a lot of trauma healing that I've done that I won't get into, but we talk about on this channel, in channel and in the server. Unicult has really, in a way, while we still focus on joy and finding authentic emotions, we've been able to pair that with now doing more trauma healing and more trauma work, which, isn't, fun in the sun, but it creates a fuller, richer spiritual experience so that when you heal those things, you can let even more light in. Um, I've worked on trauma and I owe that to so many people. Um, I manage my anger a lot better. And the funny thing is, I would have thought a few years ago, well, I'm going to manage my anger by finding ways to not feel angry because that's the problem. It's that I'm getting the emotion at all. So how do I snuff that out? Turns out, and what Unicult has helped me realize is just feeling those emotions and letting myself feel it. It's very much like what you were talking about last week with anxiety or frustration or anything. So if anyone hasn't watched that, go back and watch the Space Freckles service from last week. And learning to feel those emotions and feeling them in such a way that we're able to feel them and move through them. That's been huge. But I think the main thing is on an emotional level and like a psychological or spiritual level. I've always been a person who needs a lot of outside validation, whether that was from teachers or my parents. Well, I probably didn't get a lot from my parents, which is why I need it. Um, friends and anyone that I hold in high esteem. And sometimes that used to be in the service of not validating myself because that didn't seem to have a lot of value to me. Well, I'm not going to validate myself. What do I know about me? And Unicult has really helped me through working with Unicole and working with the other magicians, my friends like you holding space. I've turned this pit where I would throw validation into it from other sources, and it's a pit, so it never fills up. But instead, I'm able to transmute that into actually like a source. It's no longer a pillar. It's no longer a pit. It's risen up, flipped over. It's a pillar of my own accomplishments and my own self-love and self-validation. And that's 100% been the most amazing thing that has happened to me since I joined.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like all of that, I I don't even have words. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Um, and then the last question that I kind of had for you in joining Unicult is if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself right before you joined? And what would you explain to yourself? Like, what would you want her to know and to prepare herself for?
Um, would I even want to mess with the timeline? Is a question we have to ask. Alters everything. But I would probably say, and it's not that I had expectations coming in, really didn't, but I would probably reinforce myself. No expectations. Whatever you think or assume or are nervous about or worried about or excited about, throw all of it out the window. Go in blank slate, ready to accept, people as they present themselves and how they identify, and be ready to kind of um, have no expectations about what you're able to accomplish. Just leave yourself open to whatever happens. And might tell myself buy more stickers. You'll need more stickers. Might say, hey, when those prayer candle stickers come out, get a few of those. Those are going to be hard to get. And, just things like that. But I would just, prep myself to be open to anything as much as possible because I think without the more you come into Unicult without a preconceived notion, without expectations, without an agenda, and you just keep yourself open, arms out, and are ready to just receive and give back, I think that's when Unicult is going to give you the most, and then you're able to give the most back.
Yeah, that's iconic. Okay, so let's see. What do you think are some misconceptions people may hold about Unicult? And what would you like people to know?
I mean, the obvious one is that we are a cult in the way that people think of cults when they say the word, and it's funny because like we've been, Unicult has been around for, almost 11 years now. And it's still something you run up across. We'll get a little headway and then there'll be a news story about another cult and just, it just puts the narrative out there. I think I I think the misconception is that there is I think some people think there's like a sinister element here somewhere. Like someone's being tricked, someone's being swindled out of money, all the positivity and rainbows and Lisa Frank aesthetic and computers and binary code and all of the stuff that makes up any of our media and is just there's something behind it. That's why you see articles still that people assume that we're up to no good or we have very odd agendas. And I would really hope and I would implore people to set aside that. And honestly, yeah, you can Google us. Of course, it's all out there on the internet. It's open. But after you Google us, I would then like actually like look into what we're doing right now. Because Unicult is always shifting and always changing. There may be a project we were working on years ago that we're not working on anymore. The beliefs change, the system adjusts, the philosophies are fine tuned. And then if you think that there's something similar, or you think if, we're doing something, not nice, look around. Do you really see it? I don't see it. And so I would just really I think that's the biggest misconception, but that's why it's a misconception. It's just sometimes without merit. And I would implore people to just keep an open mind. Whatever you think of the word cult, like try to move past it and look at what we're actually saying and actually doing. I hope that answers the question.
No, yeah. I think like the whenever people kind of think about Unicult and think about cults in the way of like I guess the words bad cult, I think about just our devoted member meetings and it seems so cryptic. It's like, what do you do in the higher levels? I'm like, hey, Erin, how was your day? Oh, my day was doing pretty good. How was your day? Hey, that's pretty cool. How can we support you, Erin? Like that's that's a lot of what goes on in our higher level meetings. We're just trying to see how we can support one another. So yeah, I think a lot of the misconceptions and the solutions you brought up were awesome. And then the last question that I had for you is if anyone's on the fence about joining Unicults, maybe they're thinking about it, but they're not so sure. If anyone's on the fence of taking that plunge, what would you like to tell them?
If you're on the fence, then I assume you're 50-50. Then just feel into that part that says 50% yes. Also, it's only $11, so you might as well just give it a whirl. If it's not for you, that's fine. But I know for me, when I joined, I thought, yeah, this is a very small investment. Even if it doesn't work out, I really haven't lost anything. And so I think if you have even an inkling that this might be something for you, give it a shot because the inkling's coming from somewhere. And maybe you just need to join Unicult because for a brief period because you need the support system, or maybe you just need to flesh out some of your own personal beliefs. Maybe you just need to hang out with people online and don't have an online friends group. Part of the reason I joined was that I was living alone for the very first time and I didn't have an online friends group. And I was used to having an online friends group growing up. And that was another thing that motivated me to join. Don't think that you have to join like for any one specific reason. If you come in and you get what you need and you move on your way, that's fine. People have done that. If you come in and this is for you and the beliefs and the ideology speaks to you and you want to become a devoted member and help us with projects and lend your own creativity into this wonderful soup, then that's great. And then if you want to become a magician because you feel called to like teach what you know or teach unicultism and you want to help map out the future, then follow that too. But I mean, if you're on the fence, I don't I think it's best to explore that by just becoming a level one member and seeing how it is. Like it's a cool place to hang out. It's the nicest Discord on the internet.
That's so true. That I think that's definitely one of our taglines, and it's because it really is. And thank you so much for taking the time and going through and answering these questions that I keep in my back pocket at all times in case I ever want to interview Erin. And thanks for having me too.
Yeah, thank you so much. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and then you just popped right in, you know? You ask, the universe receives, it gives, and I appreciate that. And but seriously, thank you for helping me do this today.